The fact is, growing up isn't easy, even for adults. Your interests change, your goals change. What you will and will no longer tolerate changes. And people you may have been incredibly good friends with, well, that changes too. And it's not a guarantee that as one friend moves in a different direction in their life, that a friend or group of friends will not have a difficult time saying goodbye. And that's the life lesson that this story examines. So, does Ralph Breaks the Internet, Wreck-It Ralph 2 deliver on the fun, heartfelt, and comical stories we've come to expect from Disney animated films? Or should we just go back to watching Pixar movies instead? Let's talk about it in this review. Ralph, Vanellope, and all the arcade characters are back in the sequel that looks at growing up and growing apart. At this film's core, we have a story about friendship that examines it from 2 points of view. We have Ralph, who enjoys the predictability of his life and watching early morning sunrises with his friend. We have Vanellope, who longs for change and new adventures filled with fun and excitement. And unfortunately for Vanellope, there's not much of the future she craves in the arcade world. That is, of course, until the arcade owner installs wireless internet. The steering wheel on her arcade game breaks, so her and Ralph have to go into the internet to find the replacement before her game is sold for scraps. The overall story I thought was told pretty well. There's not a lot of fluff and it moves at a pretty consistent pace from beginning to end without feeling rushed. And we understand the character motivations for both Ralph and Vanellope from beginning to end. So when the divide begins in their friendship, there's real emotion felt as we watch these two animated characters going different directions in their life. The new characters they introduced, as well as the familiar characters from the first film, all serve the main story while adding additional layers of depth to the world that we're inhabiting. For example, what happens when an arcade game is unplugged? Where do all those characters go now that their world is turned off? Well, in this film we find out that they may be sleeping on the couch of a character whose game is still ongoing, or they might be adopted by another family whose game has not been turned off. So there's a really nice three-dimensional feel to this film because while it's able to look at the big picture, it also still keeps its focus on the two main characters. Also, the attention to detail used to create the world of the internet was charming. The internet is designed like a big city, so downtown, uptown, midtown, all have specific designations. Social media takes over one area, shopping takes over another area, video gaming another area, and so on and so on. Plus, we even get to go further into this world when Ralph goes into the dark web. It's the seedy underbelly of the internet city metropolis. Again, the whole world of the internet was just charming. Ralph Breaks the Internet, Wreck-It Ralph 2 is playing at your local movie theater right now, and I am going to recommend a big screen viewing of this film. Overall, it does a good job telling the story of friendship, how people grow up and grow apart, and how that can be difficult to deal with. The story moves at a pretty consistent pace, but at times did feel predictable. Plus, there's an odd level of self-awareness in this story regarding Disney animated films, which was self-deprecating, and that was a bit confusing and odd to me. But other than that, I enjoyed my time in the theater with these characters and with this story. Plus, the visual design they used to create feelings of inadequacy and insecurity I thought was very clever. And I also liked how important those feelings were to the overall story and the friendship story between Vanellope and Ralph. So, Ralph Breaks the Internet, Wreck-It Ralph 2 will be getting both high fives from this guy. Ralph Breaks the Internet, Wreck-It Ralph 2 is playing at your local movie theater right now. Check it out.